now, with your permission, I'm going to do my stuff. What are you going to do? I'm going to do the best I can. Whoa! Sound the rolling dice to be music in the air. Cause I'm a gambling boogeyman, although I don't play fair. It's much more fun, I must confess, when lives on the line. Not mine, of course, but yours, oh boy. Now that'd be just fine.
I don't believe my ears! Is that another Oogie Boogie song? Why, I do believe it is. Welcome to Malifaux, by the way, take a seat. That's right, though, the Stitch Together list is back. Actually, my opponent twisted my arm to play another game on the back of our first match, and I just couldn't resist. So here we go again, same lists, same schemes and setup, although we've thrown in a different deployment. How's that for variety? As with the previous game, there may have been some misunderstanding about the resist for the Stitched's Gamble Your Life attack, and it's really quite difficult for me to tell just quite where the confusion occurred. This was the last game I've played, so I remember it better, and we definitely didn't play it right for the piglets, because I remember thinking at the time they were going down a bit fast. But on the other hand, we definitely did play it right for Ulix, because he was adding 6 to his totals, and maybe once or twice used a soulstone for the defensive trigger. So who knows what was going on. But as I said before, mistakes are just going to happen in these games, and life's too short to let it poison your enjoyment of it. Terrain, we've got some impassable houses, some impassable rocks, some forests, which are severe terrain and blocking, etc., and then our stash markers. Don't know what these things are. Probably helping us find the centre of the table. I deployed first this time, and from the left I've got a marionette, Collodi. Strum, Fated, Threads of Fate. Stitch Together, Brutal Effigy, Stitch Together, Stitch Together. And my Coryphy and Vasilisa, with a friend to talk to, are lurking up here on the flank. On Ulix's team, he's got Gracie, Ulix, with Husbandry, Hunting Bow and Corn Husks. Goodness, Husbandry's expensive. Mechanized Pork Chop, Slop Hauler, Hog Whisperer, Sammy LaCroix, and lurking behind this building, a Wild Boar. So my plan this game is for Coryphy and Vasilisa to do Leave Your Mark, because that's what they excel at, and there's so many points that I've got to use them for what they're good at. Everyone else is going to boogie in the centre, because that worked pretty well last time. And then to spice things up, I'm going to go for Take Prisoner on Ulix this time, because I reckon there should be enough scrap lying around towards the end of the game for me to summon a marionette and claim him. Let's get into it. First turn, think I'll be holding on to some of those. My opponent won the initiative and went first and summoned a load of piglets, it seems. As things progress, the pigs, slowly make their way towards the centre, the puppets are a bit more fleet and put pedal to the metal. So one of the early moves I did was to move this Stitch Together up to around here, and Sammy crept up to the building and jinxed him, twisting his fragile little mind. This meant that any of my models activating within 3 inches of him would have to take a horror jewel, and the condition goes away at the end of the turn, so I just shouldn't have cared at all. But we were playing fast, and I hear horror jewel and I do anything to stop that. I want my models in this area, and he was in the way, so I got Collodi to walk up, my will him, to where he can't do me any harm. And then the wild boar ran around the building and, started to look at my Stitched. Just a bit funny. And I don't like that. So at the end of the turn things look like this. The mechanical pork chop has reactivated and got itself all the way over here. And I'm more than happy with that, as I'm going to Stitch slap the hell out of it. Vasilisa walked the Coryphy up here, twisted it to go further, and then walked herself back towards the centre, because I want to try to use her to get me more Stitched attacks. And then my Coryphy walked over here and drops a scheme marker. And that's right, that scheme marker is not in position to score Leave Your Mark. But I may just have tipped off my opponent as to what I'm trying to do. So Gracie and Ulix tootle over to go play with it, thanks to Reactivate, which is so annoying if it's not your Stitched doing it. Gracie attacked savagely, but I threw quite a lot of oomph into keeping my Coryphy nice and healthy. And fortunately it took no damage. Turn 2, hello nice hand. And shit kicks off in the centre. The Brutal Effigy goes, fears not the sword on Collodi, he's lurking back here by the way, focuses and shoots the pork chop, and misses. Collodi accomplices, strums the threads, he arms up, he focuses, he hits the pork chop for a slow and some decent damage, and then for shits and giggles, I my will the Stitched to finish off the pork chop, and he does, netting me a pretty decent card. Sammy moves up and tries to jinx Collodi. Again, I don't really know what this power does, but my opponent seemed pretty keen on getting it off, so I throw out my red joker to stop it. Having a look at what the power actually does, in hindsight, I wouldn't have cared about the preventing movement or triggers because I'm where I want to be and I've already activated, so I don't care about triggers because there's nothing really that's going to hit me and I've got my personal puppet nearby in case in case I'm wrong. But the horror jewel one would suck, I guess. Anyway, when your opponent's not really sure what your team does or is not so familiar with your team, it might not be a bad tactic to be really enthusiastic about something that doesn't matter to draw out some high cards, because it certainly worked in this case. In retribution for some Swamp Witch daring to try to sully the majesty of my Puppet Lord, this Stitched unleashes its focus and destroys the Wild Boar. Cards. Over on this side of the board, my Coryphee's in a bit of a pickle, or I thought she was at any rate. Gracie was here, if you remember. Ulix summoned a piglet off her, and then incited his porkers to munch away at my dancer and my scheme marker, and you can see the scheme marker did not survive the piglet, although the Coryphee managed to avoid the jaws one more time. However, the way he had them positioned, I was just trapped there. I'd have had to kill the piglet and try to push out, and from there it would have been another turn of taking a stomping by a master and his beater, running through severe terrain, and, another turn trying to get into position to drop my scheme marker. So I was thinking, shit. But then Ulix finally pulled Gracie back out, and suddenly she's free again. Phew. So what my opponent was thinking, I think, was that the piglet would tie up the Coryphee, and that he needed to get his master a big hitter back to the centre, particularly as Vasilisa was poised to just make a rake through and finish the Coryphee's job if she got left alone. So Gracie and Ulix saunter off over here, reactivating of course. In the meantime, Vasilisa's wandered off over into the middle, maybe it was somewhere like here, where she was unfortunately mobbed by pigs from all sides and has ended up kind of pushing her way through the forest to try to get to safety. Got pretty lucky with my defensive triggers there. But as my 11 Soulstone model only has 6 wounds, she's now taken 4 damage. And that's with me Soulstoning each one. I think my opponent might have red jokered some damage at some point, and I healed the full 3. But yeah, she's not looking healthy right there. The pig has gone after the marionette and nothing's happened. This Stitch has gone over here to try to hold down the stash marker. We're down a piglet, so I guess I must have sniped one with this Stitched. Another card for me. And it might be worth noting that I think the wild boar did get to attack before it died, and this Stitched is pretty unhealthy. Finally, I activate the Coryphee, which runs 7 out of combat and drops a scheme marker, which this time is in the scoring zone and the piglet can't keep up. So I score a leave your mark and we both get the stash. Turn 3, it's so nice when I get 3 of these high cards. I was definitely getting lucky with cards these games. Although the positive flips and drawing cards really helped, I was getting through my deck most turns. But still, having highs off the bat is just really, really, really useful. I got the initiative, and I made a bit of a mistake here. So I did my normal thing of Brutal Effigy going, and then accomplishing Collodi. Oh, I think, he did take a shot at Sammy this time, and yep, not surprisingly didn't hit. Collodi strummed, armour, focus, kill the piglet, slow Sammy. My opponent activated the slop hauler, and yeah, this happened. To be honest, I forgot about Vasilisa. I should have just run away over the other side of these trees. She's defense 7 with a runaway home trigger. I figure she should be pretty safe against these little gremlins. I was wrong. Turns out the slop hauler can do blasts. Turns out there's quite a lot of ammonia in those pails of his. He throws it at the Hog Whisperer, getting a severe and blasting onto Vasilisa. I Soulstone and I'm now on 1 damage remaining. He does it again, and I just think fuck it, and she dies. Weird, I get it. She's uber fast, she's got a high defense, she's pretty accurate, she gives out AP. She's not 9 Soulstones worth of model. And in order to get her to work, you've got to have her, you just got to go all the way. Which means Soulstoning for her defensive trigger, Soulstoning for attacking triggers, and if she's attacking, she's in combat, and so you're Soulstoning for damage. This gal eats almost as many Soulstones as Nakima. No one's disputing the fact she's fast. She and Collodi can go 42 inches in a turn, and with minimum resources she alone can sling that Coryphy 20 inches up the board. But Coryphy are pretty fast on their own, and if they're not where they need to be by turn 2, something strange is going on. Vasilisa just makes it a surety. I want to love her, but she's fighting with Lazarus and Handbag Widow Weaver, and yeah, also Nikima. And whereas they dramatically bolster the weaknesses of the Collodi crew, Vasilisa effectively makes us weaker where we're weaker and stronger where we're strong. I've bitched too much, but I just want to love this model. I want to love her in her smooth wooden puppet hole. But you're making it hard. You're making it hard, weird. Well, got that off my chest. In revenge, I stitch slapped this frickin' slop hauler, and then I farmed some cards off this pig. Gracie goes, I think, and mauls the stitched, but not enough to take it down. The stitched goes, and what the hell, I put everything into Ulix, and that'll be a black joker for my opponent. And I think he used his soulstone for his trigger at this point, which, yeah, double ow. In the end, I win the duel against him twice, and do 3 and then 4 damage, I believe. And he's burning soulstone to try to take the edge off it. I think Ulix went, and despite all his efforts, he couldn't kill the stitched and brought it to reactivate. So off we go again. I focus, because I like to gamble with your life, dear boy, and win through again, I think with another moderate, and I'm pretty sure that burns his last soulstone. Boogie. Over here, I think my stitched moves up, uses its free focus to attack Sammy and does some damage. The piglet moves around to get within scoring zone of the marker and attacks the stitched, bringing it to its last wound, so it reactivates and gives Sammy a final hefty slap. My opponent's cards were pretty dreadful at this point, and you know, I've been very lucky with the card draws I've gotten from killing stuff and gambling. So this is how things end up. This marionette's run over here. I needed it there in case the stitch couldn't hold out. And you can tell with the amount of attacks I've been putting into Ulix that I've completely forgotten that he's my take prisoner target. But let's say I had remembered, that wouldn't have been a too bad position for the marionette to be in, innocently stalking him from behind the stash marker. Finally, the Coryphy runs away and drops its scheme marker once more, and the piglet can't keep up. So I score again for Levy Mark, and we both score with the stash. Turn 4, I spent my hand pretty heavily in the last round, and it's probably about time I had a more modest control hand. I win the initiative, and just for a laugh I decided to see if Ulix has got what it takes. I activate the stitched, focus, and we gamble. I flip the red joker. And so even with his trigger there's nothing he can do. And yeah, that is the last time Ulix heard the Oogie Boogie song. Whoa. If you're interested, and in case you thought my opponent was being hard done by with his cards, that was his hand this turn. The red joker was the only thing I could have won that duel with. That was just pure dumb luck. And that's where we decided to call the game. I will almost certainly get 7 points out of this, and whilst I could well have suicided a number of stitched against Gracie given his hand, I've still got the bodies to keep scoring, and Gracie is not long for this world. So yeah, VAR ends the game. It's kind of hard for me to tell what the final score is. At this exact point in the game, my opponent has 2 points for Guard the Stash, I've got 2 points for Guard the Stash and 2 points for Leave Your Mark. We ended on this turn, and if we therefore go straight from here to the upkeeping phase, then we both score an extra point for the Guard the Stash. Or is there some rule or something that when your opponent throws in the towel you win 10-0? I don't know. I'm guessing it's not that. The main thing is obviously the ton of fun I had with reactivating all my stitched, and a win's a win, but it would be nice to know how to score this properly. As it is, I'm going to call it 3 to Ulix, 5 to Collodi, because more points for everyone. There you go. Take care, I'll catch you on the next one.